Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. We're going to talk about National Adoption Week. I just want to say a special thank you for everyone who has signed up. You guys really filled up the roster, and I'm just so happy that everybody's very excited, just as I am, to get some kitties adopted, especially during that Friday when Steve and a couple of ACCAs are going to join us and bring some puppies, and hopefully we'll get all of them adopted by the end of the week. So during this presentation, our objectives are to talk about the event duration, what the greeter responsibilities are, what tabling supplies and resources are going to be provided, adoption process and how it differs from our on-site adoptions at our home locations, Berman and Mackey Centers. And then the on-site run of show for that Friday when Steve is going to be there with his couple of employees. And then on that Friday, we're going to talk a little bit about how the animal handler's responsibilities may differ. So the event duration is going to be Monday through Sunday. It is going to run during the store hours, so Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then that Sunday, if we still have animals, it'll run from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the goal is for all the transported animals that we bring on site to be adopted by the end of the week. So first, we're going to talk about the customer service / greeter position. So first and foremost, I want to say that you are a representative of Michigan Humane. So this is a customer-facing role. So there are going to be many customers approach you about the cats. They may be interested in adopting. They may be interested in why we're just there, period. Why is there a table here? And there's a picture booth and all these things on the table. So they might just be interested in what's going on. So that's really, really awesome because it draws in attention to who we are as an organization, and you get to become an advocate at that point to explain what you do as a volunteer. You can personalize it on how your experience is. You can tell them how they can sign up and such. And you can also answer questions via like how the adoption process may work. That might bleed into that conversation. So you also would be receiving donations, so that might be monetary donations. We have a little bank that's going to be provided there. I'll go over that in more detail later on in the presentation. It also might be, physical donations like treats or blankets or, wipes or puppy pads, things like that of that nature. You would just put those to the side and you would just let me know via email or you could text me, and I'll just set that up so that transport can take that back to our location. And then encouraging guests to join us. Like I said, you are an advocate, so you can really personalize it, tell other people about your experience with volunteering at Michigan Humane. There will be a sign-up sheet there, or we might bring just the get involved flyer. So either or, we'll discuss that, and then I'll make sure I put that in an email right before the event starts. And then also managing foot traffic. So if anybody has been to the adoption center at PetSmart, there is a small little room where the cats are contained and such in their own shorelines, but people can enter into that room. So you as a volunteer, since it is going to gain more traffic because people, again, are going to be like, why is that table over there? You're going to draw a lot of attention. So we don't want too many people in that room at the same time. It can really stress the cats out. So I advise for only one family at a time to enter into the physical glass room. And then you can, let them meet the cats if they're interested, and you'll have them call that number. I'll go over that in more detail in a moment. And then you can just, swap people. So that way the cats are not getting overly stressed. And then everything will be gravy at that point. And then the greeter shifts are going to be from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And those also overlap our Roseville cat caregiver shifts. I left those open specifically so that we can just have extra support during the event duration so that they will help tidy up the kitties' kennels, make sure that they're fed, make sure that they have fresh water, make sure that their litter is changed out and such. So that way everything is as fresh and tidy for everybody. And if anybody has any questions, please just come off mute. We do have a smaller group and you can ask them at this time. Alrighty, I'm gonna go to the next one. All right, so as you can see here, we're gonna have maybe, I'm not sure if we're gonna have one table or two tables. Typically we have two tables, but it has a nice blue tablecloth here with our Michigan Humane logo right in the front. We're gonna have like a photo booth to the side, so when they do process their adoptions, they could take a photo and hashtag our Michigan Humane logo on there. And then it's going to have various things on the table. There's gonna be two donation banks there, and there will be little pamphlets in the front that has an actual QR code. So if they don't want to do like a monetary donation right there and then, they can scan that code and it'll lead to our philanthropy page and they can donate on there. It will also have some FAQ sheets for yourself as well behind the table. So if they have any questions, then you can go ahead and answer those. And then it'll have how to get involved. So other than volunteering, that 10 ways to get involved, that sheet will be there with the QR code. Different resources will be available, like how to introduce your kitty to the rest of the family, litter box soiling issues, those type of things. Those will all be available on the table. And then I always like to throw in the interactive activities. So I might bring some supplies for doing rope braids. So that's a really, really fun one. Or foraging bags. So we'll have some kibble and some treats and newspaper and the paper bags so that they can make some foraging bags for the dogs at the shelter. That's a really good option for kids. It's very, very sensory motivated. So kids really enjoy that activity. And like I said, it'll have an FAQ sheet. On the FAQ sheet, it'll go over how we process adoptions at this location. It'll have information such as what do you do if a person wants to surrender an animal, because this is an adoption center and it's not a shelter. So then it would have you be able to go through that conversation with them on how they would want to surrender an animal. It'll go through just various different things. So I'll attach that to the email after this recording is sent out so you can review that before your shift. And like I said, that will also be there on site. It's going to be laminated so that way you can just breeze over it again if you have any other questions. And just please reach out to me if you have any questions. Okay, so this is another fun interactive activity that we may or may not be bringing to the location. So it's called Give a Dog a Bone. So basically it looks just like that photo to your left there. It's going to have all these little bones on it. And on the back of the bone, we're going to write in wet erase marker prizes. And the customer gets to select a bone from the board. You direct the customer to look on the back of the bone, and the bone will notify what prize the customer won. It might be some treats that we have that were donated to us. It might be a cat toy. It might be a special experience at the shelter. And that special experience would be like a 2-hour experience where they might make some enrichment and have a tour of the building. And then they have like a dog experience at the end where they get to meet like 4 or 5 adoptable dogs at the end and take some pictures and such. And then potentially some Michigan Humane merchandise. So we're not sure whether or not we're going to implement this game or not at this time. But if we do implement the game, again, I'll make sure to include that in the email and describe what the prizes will be and set that up on Monday for you guys. So the adoption process is a little bit different at our Roseville location. If you have volunteered at our Mackey location or our Berman location, or even our Sterling Heights location, we process adoptions in real time. The people come in, they see an animal that they like, they say, hey, I like this animal, bring their paperwork to the front, they do a meet and greet, and at that point, they like the animal, they give us the money, and then they go on with their animal. Well, this is a little bit different at the Roseville location. They still do go through like the meet and greet process and all that, but they really like the animal. We want you guys to direct the customer to call the adoption number, which is 313-613-3224. And that's going to be posted like in big, huge numbers right on the front of the glass there. It will not be missed. And then we also have like 2 little smaller signs on top of the cat shoreline. So just direct them to call that number. You want to tell them to give the person their first and last name and the animal that they are interested in. Now, this has come in come into effect a couple of times, so I just want to go over this as well. Sometimes you might have 2 or 3 families interested in a kitten. Let's call the kitten Johnny, for instance. And the first family calls in and he's like, I really like Johnny. And you tell them to call in, you left their phone and phone number and all that information. And then the next family comes in and says, I really like Johnny. I want to adopt Johnny. So in this instance, volunteers kind of detour from, telling them to call that number. We still want you to tell them to call that number. And the reason being is sometimes the first adoption person that's interested in adopting, it falls through, and that allows for that second person to go ahead and adopt Johnny at that point. So it just opens up the doors a little bit more. And if that is the case, that the first person does intend to adopt Johnny, and he does adopt Johnny, then we will make sure that we do our dual diligence, excuse me, tongue tied there, to call the next person in line and whoever else is in the queue and let them know that Johnny has indeed been adopted, and give them a chance to go ahead. If there's any other kittens that they might like, they can go ahead and process at that time. And then well, I just said it. Our call center staff will return their call within 24 hours to complete the adoption. And I will be honest, it's usually less than 24 hours to complete that adoption. We want to go ahead and get those cats out of our shorelines and into a loving home as fast as possible. Okay, and then that Friday is the big day. If we do have them at our home location, so Berman and Detroit, we'll go ahead and send over additional kittens if we have them. I know right now we're at low capacity at both locations, but we do have the additional kittens. We will send them over. And then we're also going to be bringing some puppies on site from to PetSmart on the day of by our Michigan Humane Transport team. And then Steve, who is one of our managers at our Petco location, he will be there from 1 to 7 p.m. along with 2 other ACCAs to process adoptions in real time. So how that is going to go is our guest services or guest customer related volunteers and our animal handlers will direct customers to read the paperwork, see if they're really interested in the animal, do kind of like a little small meet and greet to see if they really are continue to be interested. They'll keep that paperwork. We'll direct them to stand in line. And then Steve and the 2 other ACCAs will be sitting at a table there, and they will go through top to bottom the full adoption process, take the payment, and then they'll go on and bring their furry baby back to their home. So during that day, the kitten and puppy handlers will assist the Michigan Humane staff by keeping the animals' cages clean and tidy. So I know when I do come in to see our adoptable animals or any adoptable animals, I like to see clean and tidy cages. Animals are messy, as we know, but it also just being able to see that, it gives it an appearance where we care about the animals, we want to keep them nice and dry and tidy, but also it's going to encourage the person to want to adopt even more. It's kind of like a sales pitch, if you will. Greeting customers and answering questions about the adoption process while staff are helping other customers. So Steve and the 2 other ACCAs will have their hands full. So we want the animal handlers to be able to answer any questions. Now, of course, if people are asking some questions that we haven't equipped you to answer, it is perfectly fine to pull Steve or one of the ACCAs to the side to go ahead and answer that question for that customer. And then showcasing adoptable cats and kittens with meet and greets and if requested. So if a person is like, I really want to hold that kitty, or I really want to hold that puppy, you would just, stand there next to them and make sure that the cat or the puppy is contained and not jumping out of their hands. The cat or the kitten or the puppy is comfortable and is not getting overly stressed is another thing. And then at the end of the event, we want to make sure that all of those cages do not go back to the shelters really, really soiled. So we don't want it to be completely cleaned and sprayed down like with rescue, like how we do at the shelters, but just a little light wipe down while they're folding it up. So that way the people that are transporting the kennels don't potentially get poop or whatnot on their arms. That's not a good situation. Um, and then that is it in a nutshell. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has registered to assist us with this event. It's a really fun event. I love it. I love seeing the animals up at the PetSmart store. I stop by there periodically. It's a really different change of pace there as well. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who wants to get involved. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to come off a video and then I'm going to open it up for anybody who wants to ask any questions at this time. Fire them off. Oh, Steve is on here. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Does
I guess
anybody
there
have any
was,
questions? Oh, go
oh,
ahead.
no, there was one question about the game, and
Okay.
who's eligible to
Yeah.
play that game. Is it just adapters or anyone coming up to the table?
Anyone coming up to the table, if we are going to decide to incorporate the game, it's anybody who's coming into the table. It's going to increase engagement. It's going to open up the floor for you to have conversations about volunteering. And you know, if they're interested in a cat, then fine, it's even more greater for them. But
Okay,
we're still not sure whether or not we're going to implement the game or not. Because we haven't discussed it, but I always like to go over it just so everybody kind of has an idea of what's going on if we do decide to bring it on site. It's really simple. We played it at a couple other tabling events and it really was a hit. People really enjoyed it. So it's a really positive thing to bring.
okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Melanie, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just wondering if you knew roughly how many puppies, because I'm a puppy person.
Okay. Steve might be able to better um answer this question.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to take at least I want to say it's going to be between 4 and 7 puppies, depending on
Okay,
their size as well.
sure.
Um, it's going to only be limited by the any puppies that don't get adopted. Me and one of my staff are going to take them to our Petco location in Sterling Heights to go up for adoption there.
Mm,
So that I'm just going to be limited by what space I have at the store, but it'll at least be 4. If they're smaller, I'm going to try to take as more if I can.
okay, all right. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Carol?
Are all kittens that are not adopted staying at the location? Or are they coming back to the shelter?
I'm gonna let Steve answer that question because I'm going to lean on saying yes, they're going to stay at the location because the kittens do get adopted out of Roseville rather quickly. But I'll let Steve answer that question in case I'm making a mistake.
No, that's similar to how we've done before. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, it'll depend too on a few things. How many cages are full when we get there, how many extras they can send.
yeah,
Typically how it's worked in the past, every time so far, any extras we've brought that day have gotten adopted. And then as things get adopted out of the cages, we'll clean them out and then put the ones that are like in the playpens, like any overflow will go into the cages. Uh, so I don't anticipate needing to take any. I will have plans though, if there somehow we end up with more than what the cages allow. I'm gonna have a couple cages available at Petco if I need to take some back there too. But again, well, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Either way, I'll be there figuring that out as the day goes on, and I'll make sure if anything needs to move as we end the night on Friday. Things that need to move will move. Hopefully, everything can just get adopted and it won't even be a problem. But I'll have
Yeah.
a plan in place just in case.
Thank you for clarifying that. I will say from my experience though, Tom, the kittens and the cats go very quickly. And like we'll send, for example, like if like just, you know, consistently, we'll send cats over on a Monday, and we're lucky if those cats are still there by Sunday. So they go rather quickly. So I do anticipate, like Steve was saying, if we do send extra kittens there on that Friday, they'll just go right into the shorelines, like you said, with from the cats that have been adopted during the week, and we'll just have the space there, and they'll still continue to be adopted through the week.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Carol, did you want to say something? It looks like you're off mute.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I signed into the wrong whatever. From the email, the first email that you had sent, that was what I signed into. So I sat for 10 minutes without anything. So I just wondered if there was anything, if you wanted to call me later and let me know if there was anything I missed. The first 10
Yeah.
minutes that I need to know. I have worked at the adoption events there a number of times, so I'm pretty familiar, but I don't know if there was something that you talked about that was new that I should know.
No, there's not anything new, but I can definitely give you a call back and just go over it. And this will also be recorded
Okay.
as well. I do apologize for anybody who did have some confusion. I don't know what happened on our Zoom on our end. I set up the conference and everything, and I went in to log in today at about 5:30 to make sure everything was okay, and it was not scheduled there anymore. And I'm like,
okay.
what happened? So I
That
went
was the one I
ahead.
signed into, so.
Yes, I went ahead and I sent out an email just to double down and make sure everybody got it. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
It was completely deleted on my end.
Okay, okay.
So I'm gonna follow up with my team and see what happened. So I do
All right.
apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right, any other questions? It can be about the customer service role. It can be about the animal handler role. Also, too, I did not mention during the presentation, we are going to have some signage that we're going to bring on site for that Friday, and that for that Friday only. And the reason why is because it's a little bit too much of a lift for the staff to continue to bring the sign in and out when they close. So just on that Friday, we're going to bring out a nice adoptable animal sign or Michigan Humane sign and place it right there in the front. So that way people know that there's an event happening inside the building.
Cool.
All right. Well, if that is all, thank you everybody for attending. So greatly appreciated. If you do have any questions before the event or even during the event, just feel free to shoot me or Steve a message. And this will be recorded, and I'll send this over with all the other tidbits of information that you may need via the FAQ sheet and such. I'll send all that over with the recording. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.